What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast, the fitness podcast for you, by you. I'm your host, as always, Mark Torres, and in today's episode 20, is it possible to get shredded in just 2 weeks' time? And I don't know about schools in the real world, but classes in session on this podcast. The Made to Excel Fitness University of Hard Knocks of Common Sense is back. Let's talk about it all. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to the show. It is Monday, July 20th. Welcome to the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast. As you listen to this, it's probably going to be old news, but as I'm recording this, it's still very, very fresh. It was a rough week to be a Will Smith fan. If you follow me over any period of time, you probably know that I'm a massive Will Smith fan. I've got, it's a little bit off screen here, but I've got my little Will Smith shrine. This is my knick-knack corner. I've got a Men in Black Funko Pop. I've got my Bel Air Jordan 5s, and I've got a vinyl disc of I'm the Rapper, He's a DJ back there. It's not all Will Smith, but is that creepy to have this shrine? Is it a shrine? Am I like worshiping? I'm not worshiping Will Smith, but I'm a big Will Smith fan. And Jada Pinkett Smith had my boy out here looking crazy, talking about entanglements and all that crazy stuff. So a rough week to be a Will Smith fan, so I had to wear my Fresh Prince of Bel Air tee in order to stand in solidarity with Willard Smith. So, but anyways, welcome to episode 20 of the podcast. That's crazy to say out loud, especially considering the fact that episode 1 of this podcast came out on March 16th, which March 16th, for those who don't know, is the day that Governor Cuomo closed a bunch of businesses, gyms included. So it has been 19 weeks since this whole thing has started. So two things for the people that have talk shit about, oh my God, quarantine happened and he started a podcast. Do you think I had the wherewithal to record a podcast, edit a podcast, and have it out on Monday morning, knowing that this thing was going to happen, bearing in mind the fact that I start typically at 6 a.m. on Mondays? Absolutely not. If that was the case, that would mean I would have to be a psychic, somebody that sees the future. If that were the case, I would have invested in Google stock and Apple stock a long time ago. You would not see me on this podcast. You would see me on Instagram, probably on a 100-foot yacht, driving my Lamborghini around and things of that nature. I would not be here doing the Made to Excel Fitness podcast. Maybe I would. I enjoy doing it, but this wasn't premeditated. I had this ahead of time. Not that that matters, but it's crazy. It's been 19 weeks, and I say 19 and not 20 because episode 2 came out the same week as episode 1, which typically doesn't happen. These come out weekly on Mondays. But episode 2 was a COVID-19 special, and I was like, man, when this whole thing started, I was like, man, fitness is going to look very different for like a week or two. So this would be great to talk about on the podcast and how that'll affect people. But if I wait until next Monday, if I wait until when the episode's supposed to come out, it might be too late. Boy, was I wrong. Shout out to the United States of America for getting this thing under control quick. But anyways, 20 episodes of this podcast. There's been plenty of things that I've started that I have obviously every intention to keep going for a long time. But for whatever reason, they kind of fall short. I used to do MTE Fit Tips on IGTV all the time. But it was a lot of work for not a lot of results. Obviously, people don't want to go to Instagram to watch 4, 5, 6 minute videos. So I started doing full length workouts as soon as quarantine started. I was going to post them every day. I was going to do workouts every day. I said, that's too long. Let me just post like workouts on Instagram every day. Even that was too much. And I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. So there's a lot of things that I've started and stopped. So the fact that I've gotten through 20 episodes of this podcast, that's over 10 hours worth of content on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, not even counting the older YouTube videos that I have that are non-podcast related. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. So from the bottom of my heart, in all honesty, to the people that do take time out of their day to listen to this podcast, there's not a lot of you, but there are a few of you. I appreciate you all. It means the world to me that you take time out of your day to listen to this little show that I do. So I appreciate you all. But anyways, today's podcast episode is all about time frame because right here, right now, we're living in the coronavirus age. We've had the Stone Age. We've had the Ice Age. We're in the coronavirus age. And in the coronavirus age, fitness looks very different. Obviously, a lot of gyms have reopened. Obviously New York State never reopened. California was open for like a hot millisecond and they closed back down. But it seems like, I don't know for sure, it seems like around the country a lot of gyms are open. Florida's been wide open for a long time. I don't know what the hell's going down in Florida. I have a special place in my heart for Florida. I love Florida. The first time I went down to Florida, right when I graduated from high school, I fell in love. I was like, man, the weather here is great. We went to Disney World, we went to Universal. I fell in love with both of those places. If you know me in real life, you know I'm obsessed with Disney and Universal. Maybe not obsessed, but I'm a little bit of a theme park geek outside of fitness. So I have a special place in my heart for Florida. But now this whole coronavirus thing has happened, now I'm like kind of in the group of like the Bugs Bunny gif where he saws off the state of Florida and pushes it into the Atlantic Ocean. If we can find a way to somehow take Disney World and put it in North Carolina and take Universal Studios and put it in North Carolina, I guess that's far enough north that I can drive down to it. And we could just push the rest of Florida out into the Atlantic Ocean. Like, I'm totally fine with that at this point, but I'm just kidding. I love Florida. But it seems like, obviously, a lot of gyms have reopened, but just because gyms have reopened does not necessarily mean that people have took it upon themselves to actually go back. Obviously, some people are still, being cautious about it, and there's still very much so a heavy online presence when it comes to fitness. So we're in the coronavirus age where a lot of fitness is online. So you've got a lot of different trainers, fitness people on Instagram running these different challenges, and not like the Kiki Challenge, not like the Plank Challenge, which if you were born after the year of 1997, you probably don't know. But Google the Plank Challenge. It was crazy. I did a lot of planks on a bunch of different things. Weird times back in the 2000s. But not challenges like that, but fitness challenges, right? 7-day shred, 10-day shred, 2-week shred, 14-day shred. People trying to run programs to get you to have massive results in a very short period of time. And even when the gyms were open, people would come up to me all the time. How quickly can I make progress? How quickly can I reach my goal, whatever my goal is? So is it feasible for people to make progress in a very short period of time? Or what is the actual time frame for people to reach their goals? You and I, you listening to this podcast, how quickly does it take for you to reach your goal? Now, one thing to think about is, so I've been watching these videos on the Players Tribune YouTube channel, and they've got a show on there hosted by Nate Robinson. If you don't know Nate Robinson, he's an NBA veteran. He's played for like 17 different teams. Great basketball player, right? And he's got this show that's kind of like an MTV Cribs style show for the YouTube generation. He goes to different celebrities' houses and they take him around and show him where they live. And one of the episodes, he had a trainer. Never heard of the guy, celebrity trainer. I didn't know who he was, but when I started watching the episode, he's like, as a trainer, I was like, this guy lives in this house as a trainer? Jesus, I'm doing something wrong. But never heard of the guy, but obviously he's showing Nate Robinson around. He's showing them the different gadgets that he has as it pertains to working out. Different things that send electromagnetic pulses into your muscles as you're working out. A bunch of crazy stuff. And eventually Nate Robinson says, man, I've got to start working out with you. You can get me back in shape. And the guy says, he says, give me 2 weeks, no social media, 100% of your focus, and I'll have you coming out of here like a new man. So is it feasible for you listening to this right now to reach your goal in 2 weeks? If you've consumed my content in any sort of variety, in any sort of way for an extended period of time, you know that the answer is probably a no, right? For 85% of people, 90% of people, 95% of people, the answer is going to be no. That's entirely way too quick in order to make a significant amount of progress. But I think the thing to think about is, where's your starting point and where is your perceived end point? Where do you want to be and where are you starting right now? So for somebody like me, I'm 5'8", 5'9" on a good day if my hair has a lot of volume on that particular day. And a couple times a week, I like to go outside and shoot the basketball. My jump shot's terrible. I like doing it, but I'm not very good at it, right? So if we're not even going to say 2 weeks, let's say a month. If I had a month where the world stood still, which it kind of is right now, and I could focus solely on the game of basketball, I didn't have to do anything else but basketball. I could train several hours a day. When I wasn't training, I could be watching film, studying the game, learning different things that I can't physically. If I had 1 month to do all that stuff, could I possibly make it to the NBA from where I am right now? Hail to the no, I could not, right? My starting point and my end point are way, way, way too far away. It's not feasible for me. Even if you gave me a year, even if you gave me several years, I wouldn't be able to get to that point. If I had several years to focus on the game of basketball, could I potentially be a really good basketball player? Yeah, I would wreck dudes in LA Fitness and pick up games. I would maybe even get to the point where I could make one of the local pro teams, but I would never make it to the NBA. Those guys are a dime a dozen. Is that the right saying? Those guys are such an elite group of people. 0.001% of the world population, 0.000000001% of the population make it to the NBA. It's such an elite group of people. I would never make it to that point, even with all the training in the world. That's just not in my cards. But if you take somebody who's like in the NBA G League, or I don't know if the G League's still around, whatever form of minor league the NBA has, if somebody in that realm of their life could take a month away from everything else, could take a month away from traveling, can take a month away from media obligations that come with being on a minor league team, all that different things, friends, family, if all that stuff went away and they had 1 month to really buckle down and really refocus on their craft, could they potentially make it to the NBA? It's still a long shot. So few people actually make it to that point, but they have a hell of a lot better chance than I do. Their starting point and their end point are much closer than mine are, right? I'm very, very far away. So as it pertains to fitness, that's one thing you got to think about. What's your start point? What's your end point? For a guy like Nate Robinson to say to that trainer, give me 2 weeks, work out for 2 weeks. For Nate Robinson to be out of shape or not in season shape, whatever, that might only be, 5, 6, 7 pounds that he has to lose and really refocus. Can he do that in 2 weeks? He probably could. It's very feasible for him to do that. His start point and his end point are very, very close to each other. But if you're a person who has a lot of progress to make, you got a lot of weight to lose, you've got a lot of muscle to gain, whatever your actual goal is, if your start point and your end point are very far away, it's going to take you longer than 2 weeks in order to feasibly accomplish what you want to accomplish. So, that being said, is there potentially a way to really put a time frame on your goal? Technically there is, right? From a nutritional standpoint, from a weight loss standpoint, we can say that 3,500 calories, you may or may not have heard this before, but 3,500 calories is equivalent to 1 pound of body fat. So when people start to think about dieting, they will say, all right, 3,500 calories, there's 7 days in a week, 3,500 divided by 7 is 500 calories. So if I were to consume 500 calories less than I need per day, I would be 3,500 calories for the week. I could potentially lose 1 pound per week. So if I need to lose 10 weeks, if I need to lose 10 pounds, it'll take 10 weeks, whatever the number is for you. So you could technically put a time frame on it. 3,500 calories is very aggressive in my opinion. For most people, that's too aggressive to do over an extended period of time. So, even if you extend that over 2 weeks, right, you could potentially put a time frame on it because you can use the 3,500 calories as a scale for you to really start to equate these things. But some things to think about when it comes to that 3,500 calories is, first and foremost, counting calories is very difficult. There's no way to 100% know how many calories you're consuming. Even the best calorie counters on the planet don't know for sure. They're not 100% accurate. So imagine if you're a person who is counting calories for the first time, it's going to take you a while to really get into the flow of things where things start to feel good, right? So you're shooting for 500 calories less per day. You sit down, you eat a salad, you track your salad. Everything's in your MyFitnessPal. You're good to go. You sit down to take a bite, and your salad tastes like stale butt crack. Obviously, you're going to stand up, you're going to go to the fridge, you're going to grab some dressing, you're going to douse your salad in dressing. You're not thinking about the fact that that has to go into your MyFitnessPal as well. So there's hundreds of calories that you have just added onto your diet that you didn't account for, right? So it's very easy to lose track of 500 calories per day. You get hungry during the day, you grab a spoon, you put the spoon into a peanut butter jar, you take that, your phone's upstairs, your phone is dead, it's far away, you don't feel like doing it, it's not significant enough of a thing to track, but that's a significant amount of calories. It's very easy to lose track of 500 calories throughout the day. So at the end of the week, you're like, all right, cool, I hit 3,500 calorie deficit, let me step on the scale. The scale says the same weight that you were before, and you're like, MyFitnessPal says I achieve my calorie deficit of 3,500 calories. What's going on? Little do you know, you actually weren't in a deficit at all. So that's one thing that can really start to warp the idea of your timeline, right? You're expecting to lose a pound per week. You didn't really lose it at all because you weren't in the calorie deficit that you thought you were. And there's a million other things that can start to affect those things, right? You go to a calorie calculator, it spits out what amount of calories that you need, but it asks you for an activity level. Are you a sedentary person? Are you lightly active? Are you active? Are you very active? If you put very active and for some reason you get sick or you get lazy or you go on vacation and you're not working out for a week, then that's less calories that you're burning, so it's technically less calories than you should be consuming. If you don't adjust the calories that you're eating, you're going to not lose as much weight as you think you're going to lose. A bunch of things that can happen that way, right? So going forward, it's technically can put a time frame on these things, but in reality, the truth of this really is, once you start to realize that fitness is kind of this lifelong thing, you can start to throw away the idea of a time frame. Most of you guys watching this or listening to this right now, whoever you are, odds are you don't have a time-specific goal, right? My buddy Will, who listens to the show, is getting ready for a strongman competition. He's got a hard date that he has to be ready by. He has to do his best lifts on this day because the competition is going to happen with or without him. So he has a very strong timeline that he has to abide by. Most of you guys are not in that boat, right? Most of you guys want to lose a little bit of weight, want to be a little healthier, want to be a little stronger, have a little bit more muscle. So there's not a really strong timeline for you guys to follow in the first place. So this is 100% a scenario and a realm in which slow and steady wins the race. If you can do things in a slow, controlled manner and you can continue to make progress, albeit slow progress, it's going to be so beneficial for you in the long run. You can make a lot of progress in a short period of time. It's 100% possible. But most of the time when that happens, you're doing it in such an extreme manner that it's not something that you can do for the rest of your life. It's not sustainable. So I don't know what the exact number is, but an alarming amount of people that lose a significant amount of weight end up regaining it. So, when you start to release the idea of a timeline, the anxiety and the stress that surrounds fitness starts to leave you, and that's a really good thing to do. And as it pertains to the show, this is going to be the most important thing that I ever say on this podcast. This is going to be the most important thing that I ever say in my life as it pertains to fitness, as it pertains to personal training, and it's the fact that fitness is so important. Fitness can improve the quality of your life. Fitness can prolong the length of your life. Fitness and health go hand in hand. Fitness and life really go hand in hand. Fitness should play a significant role in your life, and it should never be looked at as anything that's optional. It's crazy when people do that, but at the end of the day, it's not something that should stress you out. You never know when your last day on this earth is going to be. You never know when the last breath you're going to draw in your body is going to be. So don't let it stress you out. When your phone rings and it's your mother, and your mother says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. Let's go grab an ice cream cone. I miss you." You do that and you grab that ice cream guilt-free. You don't think about the amount of calories are in it. You don't think about how much extra time you have to spend on the treadmill to burn off the calories in that ice cream. You go and you have fun and you enjoy that time with your mother. Your sister calls you, "Hey, we're having a pool day. Come hang out." You don't think about the fact that you're missing a workout. You don't think about the fact that you've got to make it up in the long run. You go and you enjoy that time with your sister. Have fun in the sun. Hopefully you have sun. All these different things. And fitness is something that is so important. You should never lose sight of that, and it's necessary in your life. But it's also malleable. It's flexible. Once you start to be able to do fitness in a way that adjusts to your life is really when you start to thrive when it comes to fitness. So that is so important. Don't let fitness stress you out. Do fitness in a way that fits into your life, that works for you. It's necessary. You have to do it, but it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go out of your way to do these things, right? The whole Naya Rivera thing happened very recently, and it's terribly sad. Like, such a young person gone so soon. She never knew going onto that boat that was going to be the last time that she was going to see her son, the last time she was going to see her family. Life is so abrupt sometimes, so don't let fitness control your life. It's still important, still have it, but don't let it control your life. That's the most important thing that you can ever take away from this podcast, take away from me, in the fitness realm as a personal trainer. Once you start to become really comfortable with those ideas and those concepts that fitness is important, fitness should play a part in your life, but it should not intrude into your life. It should not be the overbearer in your life. It should not be an obstacle. It should not be something that's a detriment to the rest of your life. It's not something where you should feel like you have to achieve something in a certain amount of time. Once you start to realize that this is a lifelong thing, that you can take your time with it, that slow and steady wins the race, that's when you'll really start to thrive. That's when that stress and the anxiety that you feel around fitness will start to dissipate, and that's a really beautiful place to be in. So as it pertains to a timeline, can you possibly come up with a timeline? Yes. Is a timeline different for everybody? Yes. Whatever that timeline is for you, it's gonna change. It's gonna depend. The person you are, the habits that you have, the plan of attack that you're going with. It all depends. But at the end of the day, have fun with it. Don't let it overcome you, and you'll do great. But anyways, that wraps up that portion of the show. That got heavy for a second. That was, hopefully that resonates with a lot of people. But anyways, class is back in session. We're going back to the Made to Excel Fitness University of Hard Knocks of Common Sense. Mark Torres, Made to Excel Fitness University of Hard Knocks of Common Sense. And there are 3 topics on today's curriculum. Let me pull them up here. So topic number 1 is here it is. Actually, a clarification as to last week's podcast. So last week's podcast was about veganism and is coronavirus due to the fact that we're eating meat. And one thing that I wasn't super emphatic about that I should have been is when it comes to whether or not people want to become vegan, there's really 3 topics, right? The health aspect of it, the ethics aspect of it, and the environmental aspect of it. The environmental, undoubtedly, it would be obviously a way positive outcome if people consume less meat. That's without a doubt. Ethically, that's completely up to you, whether or not you care about things like animal cruelty, stuff like that. But on the health standpoint, I wasn't super emphatic when I said, I think if you eat a balanced diet, if it includes meat, you can be healthier. I don't know why I said it like that, but I know for a fact that if you have a balanced diet, even if it includes meat, you can be as healthy as a person who's vegan. That's without a doubt. Whether or not you choose to do that, it's completely up to you. But it's not like you have to be vegan. It's not like you have to be vegetarian in order to achieve, the highest levels of health. You can absolutely do that while still consuming meat. If you have a good balanced diet, you're consuming lots of fruits and veggies, lean meats, things of that nature. So that was topic 1 of the Made to Excel Fitness University of Hard Knocks of Common Sense. I had to put myself on the hot seat, but that was that. The second topic was on the news. It wasn't this past week, it was a little while ago, but there was an article about this juice cleanse place. And the idea of juice cleansing, I know that there's some people out there that have juice cleansed before and maybe intend to do so in the future. Is juice cleansing something that is worth doing? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your money? Now, to be completely honest, I didn't look into this on the scientific aspect, right? I don't know that there's any science that backs up juice cleanses. But if there's one thing that I know, and this is purely assumption, is that people will juice cleanse because they feel like they've been doing things overboard for an extended period of time, right? They've been eating really poorly for longer than they typically do. So a juice cleanse is to clear them of the toxins that these foods cause and things like that, and they want to clear their bodies for a fresh start. Now, without even looking into the science as to whether or not that's an actual thing, I can say that once you put the food in your mouth and you consume it, there's no taking back those calories. There's no taking back the things that you put into your system already. So if you are under the assumption that you've been overdoing it for an extended period of time, stop eating like that. Consume lots of water, give yourself a couple of days, and obviously once you complete your digestion, that will be out of your system. So do you need to buy a juice to do that? No, you can just wait. You can wait it out. If you feel like the actual physical representation that the juice symbolizes is something that is necessary for you, this is a hard restart, this juice will be the thing that kind of puts me onto a better track, then that's completely up to you to do so. But it's not necessary, I don't think, I don't know why I keep saying I don't think. It's not necessary to juice cleanse if you don't want to juice cleanse. It's not going to be a detriment to you. It's not like you're behind the 8 ball, compared to somebody that does juice cleanse. If you just give yourself a couple days and you stop eating like shit, that's all the juice cleanse you need. So, last but not least, I hate the internet. This past weekend, Netflix released a show called Down to Earth with Zac Efron, and the internet exploded talking about Zac Efron's dad bod. And I watched a couple episodes of this, and in episode 1, this man takes off his shirt, and he's got this chiseled six-pack. Where the fuck are people seeing a dad bod? Like, I don't get it. What? Like, obviously, Zac Efron doesn't look as lean as he did in Baywatch. That was insane. I think I wrote about that in one of the articles where he said, I would never, ever get as lean as I did in Baywatch because it's insane. It's stupid. It's stupid to do that. It's stupid to put your body through that. Unless I have a really good reason to get back to that, I'm never going to do it again. So, of course, he's not as lean as he was in Baywatch. But Zac Efron's still really lean. Where do you see a dad bod? I don't know. I hate the internet, right? Let's go back to normalizing regular dad bod. Like, no, you shouldn't strive for dad bod, but unless that's your thing. Obviously, the internet is setting unreal expectations for the male physique. But anyways, that wraps up today's show. If you enjoyed today's show, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you all. Leave a review. Leave a comment. Share this with your friends. They need a good laugh? Share that with your friends. Actually, I'm not that funny, but if they need, some fitness guidance, maybe I'm the guy. Not for comedic purposes. But I appreciate you all. Follow me on Instagram at MTEFit, on Facebook, Made to Excel Fitness Apparel. Follow me on. That's actually it. I think. I appreciate you all. If you have any Q&A questions, I know I haven't done a Q&A in 2 weeks, but if you have a Q&A question, let me know. Send me a DM. Send me an Instagram message. The same thing. Send me a email. madetoexcelfitness@gmail.com. This outro is really sloppy, but you get the gist of it. I appreciate and love you all. Peace out.
What's up, Mark? How you doing, man? Hunter Henry, LA Charger tight end. Best big time shout out to your fitness podcast, the Made to Excel Fitness podcast. So super cool, man. Got a lot going on. Bolt Ganger, don't bang.